All right, let's talk about jobs and sticking to fitness in itself because it's a very common pattern I'm seeing, especially when my clients all on board, which is they'd go to the gym for like a month and then they would completely stop. And if you put an average of how often they actually go to the gym, it would be like 20 days and they wouldn't go the rest of the 345 days, right? Because they're not consistent. And it's really just making sure that you can really find a way where you actually stick to it. I mean, I have people that are working 70, 80 hours and are still making the fitness goals, right? But before they came to me, they're confused because when you lay down the foundation of, okay, I'm working 9 to 5 and then I have commute and then I have kids, it's like, how do I make things work? And that's completely understandable, right? Because there's just a lot of loading of information. It's like, where do I even start? The first thing is split, right? Like first let's tackle the gym side and then we can go into nutrition side. The first is the gym side, right? Like what split do I do? That really comes down to you, right? If you can go 3 days, you could do upper lower legs, push pull legs. If you want, it can do 2 days, upper lower, right? It really depends on what you're doing. And I had this conversation with one of my clients, and he was just like, well, if I go 3 days a week, will I make the same amount of gains as 5 days a week? Well, if we break it down, when you went 6 days a week, you only lasted 2 weeks. So if we put it in an average, you went 0.1 times a week. If we divide it by the however weeks in a year, right? It's about something we can actually sustain to, and your body will eventually adapt, right? Like your body will recover if you are someone that goes 4 days a week, and you'll improve your lifts as time goes. It's just picking one that you actually stick to, right? A lot of my clients love upper lower because it's you're training pretty much all muscles at once, and you're obviously not overloading, which is exercise selection, right? So you don't need to overload with 20,000 exercises. Like someone might have, for instance, let's talk about chest, right? Someone might have like a pec deck, machine chest. They might do push-ups. These are all targeting the same thing. You don't need to do that. Necessarily, what you need is like 2 to 3 exercises per muscle. So for instance, if you're doing chest, you have the upper chest, middle chest, and lower chest. So for instance, what I do, for instance, right, this isn't something you have to do, but I do incline dumbbell, pec deck, and dips, right? You could do machine upper, you could do machine chest press, and you could do cable high to low press, right? It's whatever you find enjoyable, and that's the whole point. We don't want you to be robotic and suffer. Like people think, yo, Kiru, you go to the gym, oh, you suffer. No, I enjoy the lifts, all I do, right? That's the most important thing about exercise selection. And you could even just find different exercises for each muscle group and just try them all out, right? That's something I do with my clients. Like, all right, so there's these variables, these different exercises you could do for that muscle group. Let's try them out and see which one we like, and we'll incorporate that. We'll track the weights to make sure we're progressing and actually building muscle, which is the most important thing, right? Like, and it's very fairly to break things down, right? Like if you want to just know for yourself on what exercise to exactly pick, just think of it as a plane, right? So push, let's just talk about push, pull, right? Any movement that's pushed, you're targeting some sort of muscle. Push, chest, push, shoulders, right? In terms of push, rear delts, right? That one, a lot of people miss that rear delts. Make sure you're getting your rear delts in. You could do like cable rope pulls or even cable pec deck, right? So just finding machines, and you want to do some sort of leg movements, right? Like squat. You want to have some sort of hinge movements like RDLs, which is you pretty much keeping your legs straight and moving your back to help really that hinge movement, which is very important when you get older too. You want to make sure you're finding exercises that help you with mobility and making sure that even when you're 60, 70, you're still in shape. And that's the whole point, right? Like we want to, going to the gym is to improve the quality of life, right? Like you might see some sort of edit of someone in insane shape and it might give us quick dopamine. But the main focus of us actually going to the gym in itself is to live a healthy life, right? Like for us to be there for our kids, for us to even work. Like before one of my clients came to me, he was working in tech. I'm not going to name the company. I don't think he feels comfortable me mentioning it, but pretty much he'd wake up drained, he'd go to work drained, he'd come home drained, and he was just fully drained because since he wasn't even in the habit of going to the gym, his nutrition was also very poor, which we'll talk about next. But his nutrition was very poor, and his life was just being controlled by a job that could just fire him like that, right? And it's important we don't let ourselves go, right? It's awesome we got that job, but we want to make sure our quality of life improves with that job. And I guarantee your life will improve with fitness in your life because you feel better. And when you feel better, everything gets better. Your mood gets better, right? For instance, if your work is very stressful, the last thing you want is some sort of health condition, right? On top of your stress, right? Because it makes things worse, right? And once you start to identify yourself as someone that's healthy, like it gets very easy. There's a saying that once you're in shape, it's like super in shape. In terms of nutrition, so the point stands of, to be in a calorie, to lose fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit. But one thing I emphasize with all my clients on board is, listen, I'm not going to turn you into David Goggins. We're not going to turn into some sort of bodybuilder, right? So what I essentially do is get feedback on what level we're currently at, what we're messing up on. So for instance, if you're someone that is completely new to nutrition, why in the world would I put you in a calorie deficit when we start? Even if you want to lose fat, I would make sure that you're able to actually stick to a diet meal. I'd make sure we find food sources you love. I'd make sure we find the timing of foods, timing of meal plans to when you're actually hungry. So for instance, if you're always hungry at lunch, I'll make sure to pack in a lot of protein during that time because it's very satiating and you're not going to binge eat later on. If you're someone that needs a lot of energy in the morning, I'd put carbs in the morning because carbs is very good for energy, right? So these factors, right? If you're very hungry at nighttime, I'd make sure we have fiber in your dinner so we actually sustain our hunger for a longer period of time. So we're just first getting into the habit of picking a meal plan you love. Some things a lot of my clients love are overnight oats. It's just a pattern I've been noticing, something I did and I recommend it to them, which is, it's very easy because you do it the night before and it's like super quick. You put like oats, milk, protein powder, shake it, put it in the fridge and you just eat it. You don't need to microwave it or anything. It's like a dessert. A lot of them love that. You put fruits in there, great digestion. So just finding foods you love, right? And when we talk about like cheat meals, I'm very against cheat meals. The only reason for that is if you, every week you look forward to a cheat meal, it just means you don't like the meal in itself. And especially with work, like depending on work can get stressful. The last thing you want to worry about is eating food you don't like for lunch, and work is stressful. And what happens a lot of time with people that fail is they don't even end up eating the lunch they meal prep. They just go buy like Subway or something that is healthy, but it is healthy to a certain extent, right? But they always just not stick to the meal plan because they hate it, right? Like what's the point of us being delusional and thinking that we're actually going to stick to it? Like that's my whole point. Like I don't want to be on some sort of strict diet, right? That is building layers towards the person we want to be, right? No set of goal is going to be upwards like this. It's more so this, right? Improvement, stagnate, and slowly build to be the person that we want to be. Like for instance, one of my, I work with a doctor, right? And so he has a few days that are very intense, right? So he has 4 days that are super intense. I'm not going to super break in details of it. I'm not sure if he's comfortable with me speaking about it, but there's a few days where it's super intense, and then a few weeks where it's just intense. So in the few days where it's super intense, we don't go to the gym, right? It's 4 days. That's 4 days out of 300, like 4 days every like 20 days, right? So that's not the end of the world, right? What are we doing the other 16 days, right? We're going to the gym. So it was the best metric for him and he's crushing it, right? Like he's building muscle, he's getting stronger, he feels better even during these intense work days as a doctor, right? Like it's very demanding and he's able to overcome that because his nutrition is on point, right? Even when times are tough, he's still on his nutrition because we found food sources he loves. So let's say, for instance, like he loves overnight oats. He looks forward to that, right? He looks forward to crushing it out with his day. But let's say we put something else, like just like rice cakes, for instance, and he doesn't like rice cakes. It makes no sense for me to include that because he's just gonna stop. Not only is it gonna affect him mentally in terms of the job, but it's also gonna affect him mentally because you have the sense of like, I'm really giving my life away to this job and I'm neglecting myself. When I'm 60 and I retire, am I gonna look back and see if I dominated my life or was it just like I did this just for the paycheck, right? Because that's one thing we need, which is purpose, right? Like at the end of the day, money should fulfill our life and so should fitness. It should fulfill our life. It shouldn't be something that controls our life. There's a situation where you see some bodybuilders where they just kind of are in a box and I don't necessarily like that life they live, right? Because we want fitness and the money we make to enhance our life, to make it better. That's the whole point of it, right? Fitness improved my life in all areas of life. I feel so much more confident even going to interviews, right? I'm currently an engineering intern, the job I'm working right now as well in corporate. I feel so much more confident. Even just wearing like a quarter zip, I feel like I'm the man, because I take fitness, it levels up my life. So someone that just lifted and stayed in a box, like it doesn't, it does more disservice than good, right? That's something you need to mention. And again, like that's the whole point. Like the reason why you're mainly not sticking to it, to summarize a lot of it, is you're trying to be this David Goggins guy when you were messing up for 2 weeks and then give up. Like you're not gonna just stick to 6 months out of nowhere unless something super traumatic happened in your life. But even then, it's like you're putting yourself at a disservice of making it harder than it should be, right? So coming to a smarter approach, right? So first, I'll start off with finding the days you're willing to go to the gym, right? 3, 4, 5, 6 days. Usually, if you're in work, it's usually 3 to 4 days. So find a split that works for that. Like I mentioned, push pull legs, upper lower, chest, tricep, back, biceps, like shoulders, they all work, right? Then you want to write down the list of foods you love, one ingredient, right? So like protein, fats, carbs. Find a meal plan that you like according to that. After that, you want to find you don't want to overdo with the machines, right? So if you're doing chest, like I mentioned before, you don't want to do several exercises just for the chest. 2 or 3 exercises is more than enough, right? We want to focus more on intensity, make sure we're actually progressing our lifts, because that is what will actually build muscle. I track all my lifts for my clients to make sure we're actually building that and make sure we're actually building muscle, because you see people in the gym, right, and that's another thing, right? Like you see people going to the gym like for 2 years and they look the same, and they work a job as well, and that could be very discouraging for them and also anyone else that's trying to do it as well. Like he works a job and looks the same for the past 2 years. Is it really worth it for me to go? No, if you actually track your stuff and have a plan, it's literally like a fact that you will get in shape, right? It's just a matter of execution and someone to guide you with, which I do. I think that's a huge thing, which is someone to stay there with you and be like, I've done it, so you could do it as well. Any mental struggles, as I've dealt with a lot of mental struggles along my way, I can help them with that as well. And we just make sure we're achieving that goal that we want. And yeah, like I mentioned, I do help people get in shape, specifically South Asian men working jobs that are very a lot of pressure in careers, right? I've worked with accountants, I've worked with doctors, and we're all crushing it. It's definitely possible in finance as well. I don't want anyone to tell you that you can't manage your job, family, and your fitness, which is a huge pillar of a man being in shape, right? And I do help all of them do that in terms of nutrition, lifting, and also accountability as well to get the goals that they want, whether it's building muscle, losing fat. That's a lot of people that come to me are losing fat. But yeah, I do help people if you do want to. Check the link in my bio. Also, if you want to learn more about it, feel free to drop a message on Instagram. And I will be more than happy to chop it up there and see if I can help you. Other than that, feel free to ask any questions in the comments as well or DM me, and see you guys in the next one.